Yep. D-Boy, West Coast Uncensored. Let me kind of move this a little bit, get it centered, and get it all right. How you doing? Sorry, in this little dingy tea, but we had some storms going on here, as many of you probably know, across if you're paying attention to weather across California, and some craziness really with that, and that's something else to even go into in different realms of weather control. And in that, if you don't know, there's a technology called HAARP, HAARP. This stuff's not new. Yeah, it's not new at all. But anyways, but this is about building. Why is it so important for us to build? I was thinking about some things about the building. One of the things I know with building is you're trying to build yourself up. Can you accept you? And that's heavy. Can you accept an aspect of you that's a little bit different than another aspect of you? And this is people who are punching through and growing and going, right? That's who I'm talking about. People that self-realization, consciousness, and awareness are sinking in and sinking up for you daily, if not moment by moment, if you keep into awareness and the realization of different things. How we have used technology of language to decipher the reality, which also gives us power to realize that this was used to harness your power. But you really have, if you start knowing this, the power not to let anybody hijack you or take from you what's yours, and then you use yours fully and you see the expansion of it. And why I'm saying this is I'm talking today about this certain phrase, and it's holding space. I remember a little bit over a few years ago, I was listening to somebody's Understanding Seven Bomar, and he kept saying that, and I heard it because I know he brings truth. I didn't fully understand what that meant on the understanding of it, but and having that experience. But I definitely file that. Never fight anything. Open to receive. Open that parachute so you land softly. If you don't have, if your parachute, which is your minds and your thoughts, are closed, crack back, boom bop, bippity boo, bippity bap, right? Meaning you splatter when you land without a parachute from a high place, and you decide to come down, descend, because you have to be able to go up and down. But here's the thing. So when I started hearing that, then through last summer, through this spring, through the fall, I started noticing that this was happening in my dreams. And I started understanding in those places when I would go into dreaming, into lucid dreaming, that I was able to save space, and it would manifest me saving space. And I believe the ultimate meaning of this is just being harnessed now you're seeing births coming. I see the birth coming, and I see the digestion, or it's not going to digestion now, it's going to gestation, like a woman going through a gestation of giving birth in a 9-month process, right? There's a process in that. And I started seeing that even in other areas that I was holding space. Then I started seeing the switch up from coming back into what we call the awakened state, and I'm not so sure it is, but both states, both planes, going through the portal from one to the other through the keys, right, which are codes, right, that I was holding space in one place, and as I was going back into this place and breaking some of my habits that never interject me into states of frequency of higher thought and higher consciousness, and I'll just call it bad habits that I've had, taught, learned, seen, whatever. No putting no blame on anybody. It's up for me to take the seed and get rid of it and plant new seed in that place of me so that I could have the expansion that I would need. And when I started noticing I was doing that in this, and certain things I was doing that were changing on this plane would give me more space in the astral plane. Yep means pay, right? So I started seeing how I was able to go to those spaces and actually pull things from that spaces creatively, and then seeing them. And I don't use the word manifest no more because I don't want a festation. So I'll say birth through one side to the other, the birthing of it. And I would see it birth through, and I would see it start crowning on different areas, but also was noticing that the space I was making was even in the other realm of my dream or lucid dreaming, was creating more space there. To the point now that there's places I go to that it's like my interjection or my personal place of my interjection field is established, that when I go in those places, I don't feel like a stranger. I don't feel like I'm sojourning. Notice that, sojourning. Wow, I see something in that. See, this language is decodable, and if you do, it can, like I've said before, it can trap you, but you can set yourself free by reverse engineering the trap. And then what happens when you come out of the trap? You're out of the trap, and you're back into your freedom and your realm of control, and you're being in a powerful area of birthing and creativity. Right? Don't set yourself in a trap. Like I did a video, if you listen to my recent video, shut your trap, meaning we took it as somebody telling us being rude, but maybe they were really, if you look at the word and the phrase, it was shut up, meaning shut your trap, because you're set a trap by your mouth talking too much, right? And you set in a trap, and it's not necessarily for anybody else. They can be part of it, but the trap's really being set by yourself for yourself, because you're trapping yourself. So shut your trap and learn how to listen. Notice even the opposite of listen, is gosh dang, what's the opposite of listen? I'll have to look at it because I didn't know that, right? Because there's something powerful in the opposite, and that's just kind of what you do. You go backwards, because they've created forwards as being a forward, or even forwards, WARDS, and I don't want to be any of their wards. Know what I mean? Know these words. Know what wards are. You got wards of the state. You got the wards, right? Notice the baby ward, and I won't go into why it is. That's definitely something that if you don't know, you ought to know. But anyways, find out what wards are, because you got the wards of mental health. You got mental instability, and you need to go to the mental health. What ward? But anyways, saving space. And I'm seeing more and more to do this, tapping in that realm of definitely going into traveling in the dreams. But trusting who you are in the higher state of that which is higher. We know the lower state, you might do something silly today that may ruin your whole day. Be aware of those things so you start not falling in those traps. Why? From your awareness. But what I'm saying is, saving space, I call myself, because, I look at the old folks, what my old folks used to say, my old folks, when I look at old folks, my mom is 80 right now. So my grandparents, who definitely have a big imprint on me for my life, they do. Lived with them the first 8 years of my life. Grandfather, grandmother on my mom's side. My grandmother being actually a Choctaw, right? Having that bloodline into her grandmother, so my great-grandmother, and all that. Holding them, they're very dear, and definitely gave me a foundation of love and acceptance of who I was, which went through things later that could rob me, but I started looking at just how things have happened for me through my life, how the structure of it. This ain't the first time coming. We start knowing we've been here many times. Older souls have a lot of wisdom, see things, experience things in the realm of our higher self. Having self-esteem, right? to allow that self part of you to have an esteemment. And notice esteemment is definitely mental. Steam will drive your engine, right? Steam engine. So esteem, right? Or esteem yourself. That there's aspects of you that operate in a higher place. And that's your growth, to accept it. Now, if you're not accepting it and you have lower, which goes more to lower self, you may have to do some things to help yourself up. That's why I'm saying this. This builds that trusting of the intuition of that higher self. Save space. Because by getting after yourself on this space, you'll notice that there's spreading or opening or even movement or even increase in that space. And I've known that and experienced that for going on September, October, November. We're on 3-4 months every day in seeing that expand. In synchronicity being bam, 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 right? I said that to say this. Save space. Trust if you hear your intuition, yourself, from that higher self. Some call it God, some call it the universe. What you can call it, just don't call me late to lunch, right? Start trusting that gut feeling, that intuition when you know that you know, and as you start unraveling that, attachments to other things that keep you in a lower space by not trusting the higher space within you, so you can increase a space, because you got spaces, connections of yourself in different realms. Notice dream, take the D off, you're talking about really ream, which really add the L, right? And you got realm. This is D-Boy, West Coast Uncensored. You got to stay well. Increase. Abundance. Bam.